Hello, welcome to Somerset News Network. I'd like to talk to you today about grooming gangs. Now, I was a youth worker in the 80s for 10 years. I was also on the management committee of the youth club for 8 years. I did youth counselling and I lobbied the government against an organisation called PI. PI is the Paedophile Information Exchange. And I looked into the other thing I looked into was different cults. We had religious cults trying to recruit our kids. And I looked into all that. Now, one of the things I did was I was with other people. I'm not going to say I'm going to do it on my own. There's only one guy. We lobbied government. I lobbied my MP. That was Sir Paul Dean in the time. His name was Lord Dean. And I lobbied him against the political manifesto of PI. What I find today is that the people that call themselves LBGQ, or whatever it is now, are saying the same things as PI used to campaign for. They want to lower the age of consent. They want to lower the age of consent to 14 to start with. And if the child agrees and they're under 14, it's okay. That plays straight into the hands of these grooming gangs. Our main aim as a society should be to protect our children. There's no ifs and buts about it. If you have a moral compass, you will protect your children. So why did the government vote against a national inquiry? Now, I've got no confidence in a national inquiry, although I'd like some sort of an inquiry. Not exactly sure what, but an inquiry can be a total cover-up. They can limit the scope of what they look at. Now, if I was going to do an inquiry, I'd like the victims to talk. And there's thousands of them, to explain what happened to them. That's the crime. Then I'd like to know what the police, social services and politicians did. Then we got to see, how do we fix it? Well, the first thing to do, before we even have an inquiry, if it's the people that are in the jobs now, protect the kids that are already being molested by these paedophile grooming gangs. And it's not only Pakistani grooming gangs. There are white grooming gangs as well, paedophiles. They run private youth clubs. And they can't be touched. I don't know why they can't be touched. You know, it's somebody has got to put a stop to it. Somebody's got to stand up and be counted. When I did my youth counselling, most of the kids and the problems we had were problems with boyfriends, problems with girlfriends, problems with teachers, problems at school, problems with parents splitting up. And what we had was, I was the first port of call. There was about half a dozen of us youth workers that worked part-time with the youth leader. And we would do just the ordinary run-of-the-mill stuff. and cancel on a low level. If you had to talk to somebody at length, I couldn't talk to a girl on her own in the office. So what we used to do is we used to go in the canteen. The canteen was open. We had a bar and then a canteen at the end with a door and a hatch. So everybody could see what was going on. And I'd go with the girl and we'd do the washing up. And as we were doing the washing up, we'd chat and talk. Now, if there was a real problem and she needed professional help, I had a solicitor, I had a doctor, and I had a youth psychologist that I could pass them on to. Because I wasn't the expert. I was just a counsellor. Although I'd done all the training and everything, we still had the backup of those professionals. Now, those professionals today are within social services. What are they doing to protect the children? You have to protect the children. That's what it's all about. I think what's happened is because it's actually now come out in the open, and Elon Musk has twittered about it on X. Do you still Twitter on X? I don't know. Let's call it a Twitter. Anyway, he's highlighted it, which has allowed us to have that conversation. But the Labour MPs voted against the national inquiry. Why? Well, what you have to remember is Starmer was the director of the Crown Prosecution Service. Now, the reports are coming out, and I can't prove it, but the rumour is that none of the grooming gangs were ever charged, taken to court under Starmer. Is this the cover-up? That he don't want to be shown up? But then Starmer wouldn't do that. He was Crown Prosecution Service. He was there to fight crime. What about Jimmy Savile? Wasn't he a mate of Mr. Starmer's? Why didn't Mr. Starmer prosecute Jimmy Savile? The excuse, the press release that came out, said the file never crossed his desk. That doesn't mean he didn't talk about it. That doesn't mean he didn't know about it. That doesn't mean he even had meetings about it. He just said he didn't have the file. These people are not good people. They are not got the interest of looking after children, which is our prime aim. Prime aim of the government is to protect our borders. They're doing well on that one, aren't they? Protect our citizens, reduce crime, and look after our kids. That's it. And what are they doing? Nothing. They've just washed their hands of it. Oh, we don't need an inquiry, forget that. Have they given the red light to grooming gangs? Have they made it okay for grooming gangs, knowing they now won't get prosecuted? Because that's what happens. Yeah, they've prosecuted a couple of grooming gangs, but there's thousands of girls that have been involved in this. There's thousands of girls that are victims. What we need is the girls to get together, like the Me Too in America, is to say, I was a victim. I was a victim of the grooming gangs. Now, it's hard for them to come out. Maybe they're married now, got children, and they don't want to be seen to have been involved in that. But if they can come together and stand up and be counted, then our politicians are going to have to do something. I'm backing victims 100%. And if they want to talk about it, I will. It's only the worst crime next to murder. It's only one notch down. You know, how would I feel if it was my children? No, grandchildren now. I've always fought to protect children. That was my sole aim. As a youth worker, my goal was to protect the children. That's all I had to do. Counsel the kids. Help them, guide them through life. Because it can be pretty nasty out there. You know? So, all we've got to do is keep talking about grooming gangs. Don't sweep it under the carpet. Just keep talking about it. And I don't care if they're black, green, white or blue. They're paedophiles. And I've been fighting paedophiles for 50 years. They're paedophile grooming gangs. And it has to be stamped out. We need the police, social services, and the politicians to back them up. Anyway, that's my say on grooming gangs. If you agree with me, say so down below. If I'm wrong, don't bother explaining it to me. Because if you think I'm wrong, you have lost your moral compass. Anyway, Ian, Somerset News Swagger. Bye bye.